Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And thank you so much for joining me for another video. Today we're doing another TikTok compilation. My last TikTok compilation was on 50-50 relationships. And if you missed it, you can watch it here. I will link it above. And today's videos follow along nicely from that because the theme of today's videos is money, motherhood, and marriage. Now, my aim in making these videos is really to push back against this narrative that all you need is love, that money doesn't matter, and that you are somehow shallow or wrong for caring or considering a partner's financial prospects, particularly if you're a woman. Women get shamed all the time, being called gold diggers, and saying that they're only interested in money, when in reality, that is not the case. However, it is an important factor and it will affect everything in your life. And this is particularly true if you intend to have children. Most women who are thinking about marriage and children are, of course, going to consider a potential husband's financial situation because that is going to have a significant impact on their children and their future children's prospects. Let's just be honest. Do with that information whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's your life. You can do what you want. With all that being said, I will hand the floor over to TikTok Tanya yet again. So please enjoy these videos. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And of course, have a beautiful rest of your day wherever you are in this crazy world.
And people ask me what my secret is. Money.
Yeah, what she said. In another episode of Why Money Matters, let's talk a little bit about why money matters in motherhood. And so I wanted to talk a little bit on the subject because I think it was great for the creator to be honest in this way. And I'm really glad that women are doing this more and more. I think that a lot of times women are sold this really idealized version of what motherhood is or should be. And the truth is, the only way to achieve that idealized version of motherhood is to have money. But nobody wants to talk about it or admit it because it sounds wrong. It sounds like we're saying, oh, poor people can't or shouldn't have children. But that's not it at all. It's simply that the reality of having children when you don't have a lot of financial security is going to be very different than I think what a lot of women imagine and what we are fed in terms of what motherhood should be. I also want to emphasize that having money doesn't necessarily make you a good mother, and not having money necessarily make you a bad mother. It's more that your experience with motherhood will be affected by your financial situation. And having money and resources will make it a lot easier for you to be the best mother that you can possibly be. And it will also make a huge difference in terms of your children's experience in life, not only through their childhood, but probably through their entire lives. And yet, we don't talk about it enough. In my case, as an example, when my son was born, there were complications. He dislocated his shoulder, and this caused an injury that required surgeries and physio and all kinds of things for him to be able to recover. We were lucky that we had access to a medical system that was mostly paid for by the government, but what wasn't paid for was me being able to take time off. I spent a lot of my time in the first few months of his life taking him to doctors, specialists, physios, x-rays, MRIs, like all kinds of things. I had to do physio exercises with him multiple times a day, and then he had surgery, and then I had to do more physio exercises with him. And we also had an OT coming to the house on top of all of that. There was no way that I would have been able to sustain that level of care and attention if I had been forced to go back to work. And I do believe that he would not have gotten the outcome that he did had I not been able to stay home full time and look after him in that way. We were also able to outsource a lot of things as we needed. So we already had someone who would clean prior to having a child, but we were able to get a night nurse. We were able to get a nanny if we needed it. I mean, we were lucky that we had family coming to stay with us, so we didn't actually need a full-time nanny. But the point is, we were able to get help as needed. When he was about 18 months old, I had appendicitis and needed to be hospitalized and have my appendix removed. We were lucky that we were able to get a full-time nanny to help out while I was recovering from the surgery. And those are all situations that are sort of outside of the norm or when things go wrong. But even in a best case scenario, having the ability to work or not work or work when and how you want and be present for your children is such a privilege. When my son started school, we would often go have play dates with the kids at the park after school, and being able and present to do that really helped both myself and him in terms of socializing and making friends. And now being present and able to take him to all of his after school activities means that he can participate in a lot more than if I were working or working full time. This means he has the opportunity to learn multiple musical instruments, play multiple different sports, martial arts, like anything he needs. If he needs tutoring, I can take him. If he needs therapy, I can take him. If he needs braces, he'll get them. Like anything he needs, he will have it. And there's also the fact that on weekends, we can all spend time together as a family and we can go out and we can do things together. Because our weekends don't need to be filled with running errands and doing chores. The laundry is already done and put away. The house is already cleaned. At most we do the groceries and we enjoy cooking, and it's something that we do together anyway. The point is, there's a lot more time and space to engage in the activities that we enjoy and spend that quality time together. And all of that absolutely affects the experience of raising children. And it also affects, the children's experience of growing up. And personally, I was just not willing to have children if I couldn't give them that experience of life. And this is why I don't believe that it's fair for women to be shamed for considering a man's financial prospects, and why I think it's absolutely a relevant and important factor. It doesn't mean that he has to be a millionaire. In fact, a lot of the times it just means having enough money that you're not going to be stressed about money and you can get the things that you need, and also being generous and being the type of person who is willing to spend when it matters, who is willing to spend money to make your life easier and to make your children's lives easier, who wants to have that positive experience. As opposed to the types of men who just want you to struggle, who just want you to suffer because that's what they're used to, that's what they were surrounded with, maybe that's what they saw their mother experience. And those men almost resent the idea that you should have a nice life, an easy life. But don't fall for it, because even under the best of circumstances, motherhood can still be hard. So don't make it harder for yourself. You know that saying, if you marry for money, you'll be working to earn every penny? Well, I've been thinking that that is another lie sold to our generation. Because all I see in reality is women out here working full time and then getting married, having a family, and they're continuing to work full time and pay all the bills while simultaneously performing all of the duties of a traditional wife. If they have children, obviously they are birthing the children on their own, but they're also predominantly raising those children on their own because we still view mothers as the default parent, which means they're usually the ones taking the time off work when the kid is sick. They're the ones on top of all of the medical appointments, all of the extracurricular activities. They know the teacher's name, they know the friends' names, they know what homework needs to be done, when it needs to be done. They're buying the kids new shoes when they grow out of them, new clothes when they grow out of them. They're removing stains from the school uniforms when they're stained. They're getting new ones when they need to be replaced. They're also more likely to do all of the housework, or most of the housework, the cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, the organizing things. Some even go above and beyond, making their husband's medical appointments for them, making sure they go to the dentist, making sure they're getting their eyes tested, making sure that they're replacing their clothes when they need replacing, dressing them so that they look nice. They're even helping with his resume, helping with his career at times, or helping him start a business. But it is the women who want and expect to be paid for all of that labor. They're the cautionary tale. So yeah, that's what I've been thinking. Yesterday, I was reminded about what an immense privilege it is to be able to live what I'm going to call a work optional lifestyle. And I'm borrowing that term from another creator, Miss Mary, a provider herself, author of the book that I've been reviewing and I haven't forgotten about. We will come back to it. But anyway, the privilege that I want to talk about today is not about me. Okay, because often what we see depicted on social media when it comes to provider men, sprinkle, sprinkle, blah, 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 all of that is a luxurious lifestyle where you can just sit around by the pool and go to Pilates and have lunch with the girls and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. Because the one who I believe benefits the most from this situation is actually our child. Let me explain. You see, yesterday I had to take him to an induction day because he got accepted to this very sort of prestigious gifted program. All of the year 4 students are tested all across the state, and they pick about 2% of students to, invite them to participate in this special program just for gifted children. So he was invited to participate, and I had to take him all the way out to, I don't even know where, like far, for this induction day. No problem. I can work around that because work optional, right? I work for myself. Doesn't matter if I'm not working one day. It's all good. And here's the thing. The program is run as follows. Your child, one day a week, has to be taken from their school to wherever it is that the course that they're doing happens to be run, which could be in any far-flung part of the city. They do that for 2-3 hours, and then they get to be taken back to their school. And do you know who does the picking up and dropping off? You do. The parents do. Now, there was a lot of discussion yesterday about, the different locations and how you should really keep the location in mind and the days and stuff when you're picking your course, because you're the one who's going to have to be responsible for taking him. And if you want to carpool, they can, create groups based on where you live and this, that, and the other. But if you do want to carpool, then all of your children have to be doing the same course in the same location on the same day. That limits the options because some of the best courses available are in these far-flung areas because that's where they have the state-of-the-art facilities that they've been able to use for this program. And so as I sat there listening to everybody discussing, how they're going to manage one day a week having to ferry their child around here, there, and everywhere, I kind of thought, wow, I don't have to worry about that. Like, how lucky am I? But not only that, how lucky is my child? When the course calendar is released, I don't have to tell him, oh, we can only go to this location or only on these days. I can tell him, you pick whatever course you want to do, babe. Anything you want. Mommy will take you, even if it's an hour away. And the reason I can do that is because I have a work optional lifestyle. And that is exactly why when I was considering whether or not I would get married and whether or not I would have children, I was thinking about this sort of situation. Like, I am not going to have children in a scenario where I have to work full-time and I have to be tied to a job because I know that that is going to have a flow-on effect to my children. And I have noticed this as he's been growing up over and over again. So many times there have been opportunities for him or extracurricular activities or things that, he wouldn't have been able to do if I had to be tied to a job 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I'm not saying any of this to brag. I'm trying to highlight how sprinkle and how provider men really have nothing to do with a luxury lifestyle or a soft lifestyle. Like, that isn't the important thing when we're talking about, choosing a husband who can provide if you want to have children. Nor am I advocating for women to just return back to the home and the kitchen and not work. Remember, it's work optional. And like I said, I enjoy working. I like what I do. I like making extra money, but I don't have to do it every day, full time. I can work around my child's schedule. I can work more or less depending on what is going on in our lives. So yes, when I talk about men and providing and, not doing 50-50, just remember that it isn't only about like a luxury lifestyle. In fact, it really isn't about that at all. It's about setting yourself up for success and particularly setting your children up for success. I knew early on that if I couldn't have children in this type of circumstances, that I would not have children at all.